The President of the United States slept in his bed last night at the White House after a whirlwind trip of Europe, where he went over for, wound up with the NATO summit. Yesterday, as he wrapped things up in Madrid at the NATO summit, he had a 26-minute press conference. I thought he would have gone longer to, exude that I thought he would be there longer so that people would think, okay, he hasn't lost it. He's still got his game. But as soon as he went through the list, he was done. Anyway, one of the reporter from the New York Times asked the president, he said, Mr. President, the war has pushed up prices. Oil could go as high as $200 a barrel. How long is it fair to expect American drivers and drivers around the world to pay that premium for this war? What did he say? Here's the answer.
We are going to support Ukraine as long as it takes. The bottom line is, ultimately, the reason why gas prices are up is because of Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia. I can understand why the American people are frustrated because of inflation. But inflation is higher in almost every other country. Prices of the pump are higher in almost every other country. We're better positioned to deal with this than anyone, but we have a way to go.
Wow, I just don't think this Ministry of Truth approach to economic news is going to work. I think people are frustrated. And they're also not stupid. They absolutely saw on day one that this guy shut down the gas pipelines, that he's not renewing leases, that he's encouraging banks not to finance energy investments. So people aren't dumb. And more importantly, they're feeling it every single day. And of course, the prices are high in Europe, too. It's not just because of Russia. The prices were high for gasoline in Europe before any of this, by the way. They've always had higher prices than us.
If you want to tell Russia we're not quitting, that's a good message to send. But if you want to tell the American people what's really going on with the economy, it's a terrible message to send. Because it's 1 minute you're giving Vladimir Putin the false belief, the bravado to say, look what I've done to the West. I am forcing up gas prices. I am making oil costly. I am destroying their economy because inflation is all my responsibility. He's looking like a hero to his people. What makes it worse, it's just not accurate. Everything was on this trajectory. It's the answer, a little bit coming out of the pandemic. A lot of it is this green agenda that he has. Thankfully, the Supreme Court stepped in. But the other thing that he keeps saying that is flat out inaccurate is about inflation. He says, oh, we're doing better than most when it comes to inflation. It's actually just the opposite. Take a look at the numbers of the G7 countries that the president was with over the weekend. When it comes to inflation, nobody's doing better than Japan at 2.5%. Maybe China. France is less than us. Italy's less than us. Canada is less than us. Germany's beating us. We are the top. We are leading the world with inflationary rates. Yet he keeps saying the exact opposite. And yet people walk around and saying, can't get baby formula. Everything is more expensive. Right. Gas is an issue. And my Secretary of Transportation is such a genius, we have now screwing up air flight, as if the Wright brothers just invented the plane, and now we suddenly have to make some runways and buy a few jets. It's unbelievable how backwards everything is. Here's David Axelrod on how he reviewed the president's performance yesterday.
When the president got into those questions, gas prices and inflation and abortion rights, there was a lot less of that certainty, a lot less of that emphatic nature of his initial presentation on NATO, because he doesn't have great answers.
Yeah, he had good answers on NATO, but when it came to the question about gas price, for him to say, as long as it takes, the unspoken part is as long as it takes to get everybody to buy a plug-in car, ultimately. Look, the GOP, immediately when they heard the president say that, a lot of members of Congress said that was the wrong answer, Mr. President. We should be ramping up domestic oil production, making us energy independent again. This is not Putin's price hike. This is Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the reason we are paying big bucks per barrel, because he, as you detailed a moment ago, Rachel, pulled the plug on all sorts of stuff that would make us energy independent. But because he is so beholden to his environmental green left, he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that he's able to at least appear to be pushing a green climate agenda.
It's just weird that he thinks he can pull this off rhetorically, like that people are going to believe this.
Some people do.
But it was just, I mean, Donald Trump said, I'm going to make you energy independent, and he made made us energy independent, and now we're not. And by the way, we're humiliating ourselves, begging Saudi Arabia, Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela, even Central American government leaders are saying, you know, you are nourishing the devil by giving money to Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela to get gas when we don't need to. And the same is happening with Russia.
And the other thing is, Rachel, we don't recognize Maduro as the leader. We had our Western allies recognize Guaido as the true leader of that country, and he just forgot about that. And here's the other thing. He says, I'm going to do a carve-out to codify Roe v. Wade and allow my Democratic caucus to pass it on pure party lines, on a pure majority through the Senate. He is for the breaking up, destroying the filibuster through a carve-out. That's impossible, number one. And number two, his own party's not on board with it. Manchin Sinema says, I'm still not doing it. So he's telling the world he's ripping the Supreme Court on the world stage from Madrid, Spain, and then when he comes to the carve-out, he says, I'm going to go get rid of the filibuster. He does not even have his own party.
And did you notice the deflection he said? He said, the world, America's being destabilized by the Supreme Court. No, we're being destabilized because our economy is collapsing in front of us. He's decimating everything about America, our economy, our border, our cities. I mean, you name it, everything is worse.
But its approval rating shows that 39%,
100%.
33%.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.